My sister-in-law said I was jealous, then I found out she was using my identity. I received a letter for investigation and my name was on it. She never said it to my face. That's the part that still messes with my head. I didn't hear the word jealous from her lips at first. I heard it in pauses, in looks, in the way conversations stopped when I walked into a room, in the way my name came up and voices dropped, and slowly, painfully, it became clear. She believed I was jealous of her looks, jealous of her intelligence, jealous of her sense of humor, even jealous of her marriage to my own brother. I kept asking myself the same question over and over. Why would I be jealous? I never competed with her, I never compared myself to her, I never wanted her life, but the accusation followed me like a shadow. She didn't say it once, she said it often, to my parents, to relatives, to people who didn't even know me well. She's jealous, she'd say, shaking her head like she was the victim. She doesn't like seeing me happy. And every time I heard about it, something inside me tightened. Not anger, confusion, hurt. That quiet kind that makes you question yourself. I tried to ignore it. I told myself it was insecurity talking. I told myself marriage is stressful. I told myself I was imagining it. But deep down, I knew she meant it. And worse, she wanted others to believe it. The truth is, her jealousy started long before she ever married my brother. All her life she ran after relationships, one boy after another, one story after another. She never stayed alone long enough to figure out who she was without a man beside her. Career plans changed based on boyfriends. Cities changed based on who she was dating. Dreams shifted to fit someone else's life. When she married my brother, she thought she had finally won. Stability, a family, a home. And when she moved in with us, she expected something else too. Control. My brother and I lived in New York in a rent-controlled apartment our grandfather had left us. That place wasn't just an apartment, it was history, it was safe, it was freedom. We moved there for college, then stayed for work. We never went back to our hometown permanently. We visited for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, for weddings and funerals, but New York was home. We built a life there. Friends became family, our routines became traditions. My brother had his circle, I had mine, some friends overlapped, some didn't. And one of those shared friends is how she met my brother in the first place. When she came to live with us after the wedding, she walked into a life she didn't expect. She saw me, not the version she imagined. Not the quiet sister who stayed in the background. She saw a woman who didn't depend on her brother. A woman who made her own money. A woman who chose her vacations, her clothes, her lifestyle without asking permission. I paid my own bills, I booked my own trips. I knew which brands I could afford and which ones couldn't. I made decisions without checking with a man, not my brother, not my boyfriend, not anyone. And compared to that, her life looked small. She had always lived on someone else's money, first her father's, then my brother's. She never built financial independence, never tried. She didn't know what it felt like to earn and choose and fail and recover on her own. And instead of learning, she resented. She started calling me a burden, not to my face, never to my face, but to my parents. She told them I needed to get married so she could focus on her home. She said I was in the way, that my presence made it hard for her to feel like a real wife, that I took up space that should belong to her. I was stunned when I found out. This was my home too. I had lived there before she ever arrived. But suddenly I was the problem, the unmarried woman, the independent woman, the reminder of everything she wasn't. She tried to interfere in my decisions, little things at first, what I wore, where I went, who I spent time with. She questioned my choices like she had authority over me, and one day I had enough. I shut her down. I didn't yell. I didn't insult her. I simply made it clear that my life was not hers to manage, that my choices were not up for discussion. Those boundaries were not optional. Her smile froze. She nodded. She said nothing. And that silence should have scared me more than anger ever could. After that, she doubled down on the jealousy narrative. Anytime I disagreed with her, I was jealous. Anytime I questioned her behavior, I was insecure. It became her shield. A way to discredit me before I could speak. What I didn't know was that while she was accusing me out loud, she was doing something much darker in private. It started small. An email I didn't recognize. A notification for an account I never opened. A bill that didn't make sense. I told myself it was spam, a glitch. Identity theft happens, right? I changed passwords. I ignored it. Then it kept happening. Charges I didn't make. Subscriptions I didn't sign up for. I checked my credit card history and felt that cold drop in my stomach. Purchases from websites I had never visited. Small amounts at first. Easy to miss. Easy to explain away. When I asked her if she'd seen anything strange, she laughed. "You're paranoid," she said. "You always think someone's out to get you. That's jealousy talking." Jealousy, that word again. Then friends started acting differently. One colleague avoided eye contact, another made a joke that didn't land. Someone asked me casually if I'd been out a lot lately. I didn't understand what they meant. My life hadn't changed. My routines were the same: work, home, friends, sleep. Then I saw the photos. They didn't look real, but they looked real enough. Pictures of me at parties I never attended, with men I'd never met, drinking, laughing, touching. Scenes stitched together with AI so smoothly that at first glance I even questioned my own memory. My face was there, my body, my name was tagged, accounts created in my name, comments written by me, messages sent as me. And all of it painted the same picture: unstable, reckless, immoral. Someone was trying to erase who I really was. I still didn't know it was her. Not yet. I wanted to believe it was a stranger, a hacker, anyone else. Until the envelope arrived. It had my name on it. My address, official, heavy, the kind of paper that makes your hands shake before you even open it. It was from the police. They were investigating threats made from my online account. An account I didn't own. An account that used my photos, my name, my voice. They showed me screenshots, messages filled with hate, aggression, words I would never use. Then they showed me the AI images. My chest felt tight. My ears rang. I couldn't hear anything else. Some of my colleagues had already seen them. My reputation was already bleeding. And as they explained the timeline, the locations, the access points, one truth became impossible to ignore. The activity was coming from inside my own home, from devices I recognized, from patterns I knew, from someone who knew my life well enough to copy it. That's when every accusation snapped into focus. The jealousy wasn't mine. It never was. And in that moment, I realized something terrifying. She hadn't just wanted to hurt me, she wanted to replace me. Once the truth started forming in my head, I didn't want to accept it. I kept telling myself I was reaching. That grief and fear were making me suspicious. But the more I looked back, the more every detail lined up. Every strange comment, every knowing smile, every time she dismissed my concerns and called me jealous. It was never a joke. It was a warning I didn't understand at the time. I went home that night and sat in my room with the lights off. My phone felt heavy in my hands. Notifications kept popping up. Messages I didn't recognize. Emails asking me to explain things I never did. My name was being used everywhere, and I had no control over it. The scariest part wasn't the damage to my reputation. It was the feeling of being erased while still alive. I started documenting everything. Every charge, every fake account, every AI-generated image. The police asked for access to my devices, and I gave it without hesitation. I had nothing to hide. I wanted the truth out, no matter how ugly it got. What they found shook even them. Login locations matched our apartment. Timelines overlapped with moments I was physically present in the house. And the accounts had recovery emails that traced back to a device registered in her name. Still, confronting her felt impossible. This was my brother's wife, the woman he loved, the woman my parents trusted, the woman who sat at our dinner table and smiled while slowly dismantling my life. I kept wondering how long it had been going on. Weeks, months, maybe longer. How many times had she looked me in the eye after destroying something behind my back? When I finally spoke to my brother, my voice didn't sound like mine. It shook. I showed him the evidence slowly, carefully, like handing someone fragile glass. At first, he didn't believe it. His face went blank, defensive, hurt. He kept saying, "She wouldn't do that." I didn't argue. I just kept showing him facts. Silence filled the room when he ran out of excuses. That silence was louder than any fight we could have had. When we confronted her together, she didn't cry. She didn't scream. She laughed. A soft laugh, almost bored. She said I was dramatic, that I was trying to ruin her marriage, that this was exactly what jealousy looks like. And then the evidence kept coming, one detail after another, until the smile cracked. Her story changed. First, she blamed stress, then loneliness. Then she said it was a joke that went too far. She said she wanted to teach me a lesson for shutting her down, for making her feel small. She admitted she hated how independent I was, how everyone praised me without me asking for it, how I didn't need anyone, while she felt invisible even in her own marriage. She said she wanted to take something from me the way she believed I had taken everything from her. That confession didn't bring relief. It brought grief. Because the betrayal wasn't just about identity theft or fake photos. It was about trust, about living with someone who watched me every day and decided I didn't deserve my own life. Someone who chose destruction instead of growth. Someone who called me jealous while drowning in her own envy. The legal process was long, painfully slow. I had to explain myself over and over, to investigators, to my workplace, to people who had already made up their minds. Some relationships never recovered. Some people believe the lies even after the truth came out. That's something no one warns you about. Facts don't always heal damage. Sometimes they just stop it from spreading. My brother changed too. Guilt sat heavy on him. He apologized more than once, but apologies don't rewind time. He had to grieve the version of his wife he thought he knew. The marriage didn't survive. Love can't live where respect dies, and trust doesn't come back once it's been weaponized. As for me, I had to rebuild myself in ways I never expected. I questioned everything: my instincts, my kindness, my silence. I replayed moments in my head, wondering when I should have spoken louder sooner. I learned that being peaceful doesn't mean being passive, and being private doesn't mean being weak. The accusations of jealousy stopped once the truth was undeniable, but the damage they caused stayed. I learned how dangerous words can be when used as cover. How easy it is to project your own insecurity onto someone else and convince the world it's their flaw. What hurt the most was realizing that my independence, the thing I worked hardest for, was what triggered her the most. I never tried to compete. I never tried to make her feel less. But my existence reminded her of choices she never made, and instead of facing that, she tried to erase me. Today, my name is mine again. My credit is repaired. The fake accounts are gone. The images removed. The investigation closed, but the lesson stayed. I don't dismiss red flags anymore. I don't silence myself to keep peace, and I don't let anyone define me with words meant to hide their own truth. She called me jealous because she needed a story where she wasn't the villain. But in the end, the truth didn't need defending. It just needed time. If this story made you feel something, don't keep it to yourself. Hit subscribe so you don't miss stories like this, real stories about trust, betrayal, and truth coming out. Tap like if you believe jealousy can hide behind fake smiles. And comment below, have you ever been blamed for something you didn't do, while the real truth stayed hidden?